Ashe, ashe, ashe.
It began at the edge of our homeland, where the verdant forests and tropical bush gave way to the sandy stretches of the Guinea coast. From that northern point, where the Senegal and the Gambia pour their troubled streams into the waters around Cape Verde. Down the thousands of miles of coastland to that place where the mighty river Congo breaks out into the ocean. It was on those shores, at the mouths of those rivers, we first saw the ships. There was no way to know it then, but their crews of men and boys came from many ports and many past to find the shores of Africa. They came from Amsterdam and Lisbon, from Nantes and La Rochelle, from Bristol and London, from Newport and Boston. On ships with strange names. They came to us on Brotherhood and John the Baptist, on
Good ship Jesus.
Gift of God and Integrity. And they came on the good ship Jesus.
Good ship Jesus.
But by the time our lines of weary and mourning travelers saw the vessels riding on the coastal waves, there could be but one meaning: captivity. Thus it was on the edges of our continent, where some of us gulped down handfuls of sand to hold the reality of the land, that the long struggle for Black freedom began. Those words are the first paragraph of a book called There is a River, written by Dr. Vincent Harding, who was one of the advisors and my mentor for the Interfaith pilgrimage of the Middle Passage. Those words stayed with me long before I even met Dr. Harding. But when I read that book, that first paragraph, I had to memorize it. And I've been holding it in my heart for about 30 years. And grew to love him and love his writing and love his art. And so we call on the spirit of Dr. Harding, Vincent Harding, today, who left us and is in the other realm, and he's here with us right now. Where he continues to mentor and guide us. So I had to just bring that piece out, because that is the piece that I chose to write another piece called Middle Passage, a Gospel Requiem, which we and me and Brother North Star and Sister Amai and so many others on the pilgrimage, on our journey, we performed it, and we always opened with this piece. I want to just share a little bit about how the Interfaith pilgrimage came to be, and I'm going to ask my dear beloved Sister Claire Carter to come and help to share the story, because many of you know about the pilgrimage or may have heard about it, but not really understand where it came from, where the idea came from. This is Reverend Timothy McDonald would say, this ridiculous idea. Sister Claire and Sister Ingrid.
Have to open with a gratitude. I don't know, beyond gratitude to all those who have offered their thoughts and prayers and libations and dances. Thank you for opening us all to this. So the Middle Passage Pilgrimage in 1993, there was a monk of our order who had been practicing in Sri Lanka, and he, some of you may remember that that was a country torn very tragically by a civil war. And so he actually witnessed near the pagoda where he was staying, not witnessed, but he saw shortly after there had been a massacre. And he realized he couldn't go on without finding something to do very directly about this civil war. So he organized what he called the Interfaith Pilgrimage, Interfaith Pilgrimage for Peace and Life. Oh, no, the whole name was, sorry, Sri Lanka, South India, Interfaith Pilgrimage for Peace and Life. That was the proper name. And the concept was simply to bring people of the different, there are 4 major religions in Sri Lanka, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam. And there are the different ethnic groups, primarily Sinhalese people and Tamil people. And so his concept was to bring all 4 religions and cultures and so on together to walk from a sacred mountain that had a single huge footprint on the peak of it, and the Buddhists worship this footprint as Buddha's footprint. The Christians and Muslims worshipped it as that, they thought that was Adam's footprint. When he left paradise, he landed there. And so it was sacred in that way, and the Hindus believed it was Hindu god's footprint. What was remarkable is no one argued about that. They just climbed this holy mountain, seriously, it's a true story, I've been there, and worshipped this footprint. So, good place to begin. So, also, the sacred waters that give water to the island all come from this mountain. So that's where it began, and walking through parts of Sri Lanka and South India, which is the homeland of the Tamil people. And the idea was people from Sri Lanka would walk in the homeland of the Tamil, and Tamils from South India would walk in Sri Lanka, and so anyway, bring together and worship at the different houses of worship, all of those different religions, and share the food and so on. That was the pilgrimage. I won't go on about the pilgrimage. All I'll say, this was the beginning of the Middle Passage pilgrimage, actually, because by walking down this sacred mountain, so I joined the pilgrimage. Walking down that sacred mountain, I was overwhelmed. I cannot even say how strong this inner drive was. Just like, talk about an awakening. It was shaking me like crazy. Like, okay, walk this pilgrimage, learn, pray, be part of it, but you have to go back to your home country, the United States, and pick up something to do about, the legacy of racism in the United States. That, it never seems to really be addressed somehow. There's so many ways people try constantly, and not just try, but they do address it. But in the aggregate, you know, it has this terrible staying power. And so, because in our order we walk, I naturally thought of a walk. And also I believe in the power of walking. I learned that by walking. Otherwise, believe me, I'm not a walker, to be honest. It's not